Hello heroes and villains, welcome to Multiverse. Today we are going to take a look at the evil Sinister Six. So let's get this party started. So here we have our friend Electro. I'm not going to take a look at all the ways you can create those characters. I'll show you just enough so that you can get let's say a starting point to create those characters. And then you can decide to use other styles to improve the look of those characters if you want to. So if we start with our friend Electro. So the star helmet is it's not exactly the same thing as the Electro style, but it's close enough. At least within the context of DC Universe Online, it's as close as you're gonna get. For the chest piece and the pants, the electric style works well enough, and you can get those straight at character creation. For the hands, you can use a Speed Force Spectrum style. Here you can see I'm using the 2018 version. The same for the belt. And for the boots, I'm using the nuclear boots. For the aura, I'm using the yellow Tesla aura. You could also use a sparking aura and more. So there's quite a few auras you could use for our friend Electro. These are just a few samples to get you started. During one of my Halloween seasonal video, I had shown our friend Craven the Hunter. Basically, once we got this material, I knew that I had to create our friend Raven, but way back when, I did not know exactly how to create there's a whole bunch of fur around the neck of our friend Craven in the comics, and I couldn't really find a style until someone pointed out that the Raven shoulders were actually a good option for our friend Raven. So obviously you need the Spooky Bats Chroma material to create this look. Yeah, it should be a leopard spots, it shouldn't be bats, but you do what you can with the styles you have. And sadly for the Spooky Bats Chroma, if you don't already have the material, you will have to wait for next Halloween in order to be able to get it. So for the chest piece, I went with the main man. I'm using the Magic's Champions for the hands and the belt, the reverse slimline for the pants, the Ancient Amazon Noble for the feet, and the Dark Raven shoulders to fake out the sort of fur that our friend Raven should have, and the enhanced Leo emblem. And then there is our friend Mysterio. There's quite a few options you could use to recreate Mysterio. This is here pretty much the closest version I could come up with that looks like the version from the comics or the original version from the comics. Obviously, there's the movie version, and in the comics, yeah, there are quite a few looks in recent years. But the main thing you need to create our friend Mysterio is the Spindrift headpiece. Here I'm using the Magic's Champion shoulders. Here for the chest piece and the pants, I'm using the Jute style. Sadly, if you don't already have those styles, you will have to wait for the next Halloween seasonal in order to be able to get the style. For the hands, the Egyptian Sorcerer, the nuclear boots for the feet, the classic cape. For the aura, I went with the purple Nimbus aura, but there's a whole bunch of aura you could use. For the headpiece, I'm using the shimmer material, but you could use something like the blue smoke material. This is probably the one good use for the smoke material to create our friend Mysterio. So here I went with the classic version of our friend Mysterio, but obviously you could tweak it if you want to make it a bit more modern. You decide. But once you have the Spindrift headpiece, you pretty much have the main item you need to be able to create our friend Mysterio. And next we have our friend the Sandman. We can create a pretty good version of Sandman in this universe online. Again, this is the classic version from the comics, although the one in the movie, the one in the Sam Raimi movie, looks pretty much like this as well. For the chest piece, you need the stripped swim top. Sadly, it is a style you can only get during the summer seasonal, so if you don't already have this style, you will have to wait for next summer to be able to get it. For the pants here, I went with the cargo pants, but there's a whole bunch of pants you could use. Same for the boots. Here I went with the casual, but again, you can decide to use other boots if you want. And for the aura, I'm using the Sandstorm aura. The Sandstorm aura comes from the Gotham Time capsule. Sadly, at this point, your best option is to just get it from Booster Gold. You could also go for the Terrestrial aura. And next we have our friend Dr. Octopus. There's quite a few variations at this point, but here again I went with the pretty much classic version of the character. And we can get something that's pretty close to Dr. Octopus. Obviously the arms are not exactly it, but within the context of this universe online, you do what you can with the styles that you have. For the face piece, I went with the Falcony glasses. Pretty much the main item you need is the Joker Punchline back piece. Once you get that, it pretty much recreates sort of the octopus arms that octopus should have. And yeah, it should have only 4 arms, but within the style we have in DC Universe Online, this is pretty much the only style we have that can recreate the octopus arms. For the chest piece, I went with the high collar. For the hands, the Ironut hands. For the waist, I went with the Amazon Soldier, but there's probably other waist style you could use for Dr. Octopus. Like you might decide to go for a Magic's Champion instead. For the pants, any slimline pants will do the trick. Here I went with the reverse slimline. And the nuclear boots. Again, this is a good starting point to create your friend Dr. Octopus, but obviously you could tweak the style if you want to. And here we have our friend the Vulture. You can create a pretty good version of the Vulture, as you can see. Again, this is the classic version of the character. The Fusion Nut chest piece works well enough to recreate the texture that the Vulture had on his costume, on his classic costume. Sadly, I could not get the same texture for the pants. The Fusion Nut pants don't really work for our friend Vulture. So I had to settle with the reverse slimline pants, but any slimline pants will do the trick. For the back piece, I went with the Splendid Wings. It's a back piece you used to be able to purchase from the marketplace, but nowadays you have to buy it from our friend Dr. Fate. Obviously, you could decide to go for actual wings like the Wings of Sins. So the Wings of Sins would give some pretty big wings for our Vulture character. There would be other options also like the Hawk Wings. Obviously not as big as the Wings of Sins, but it works well enough still. Or you could even go with the small bird wings from character creation. You decide. So we're pretty much covered the 6 original members of the Secret Six. But I thought that I'm not going to cover all the members because throughout the years there's more people that were added to the Sinister Six, or the Sinister Six had changing rosters as time went by. Although I seem to recall one time where the Sinister Six were a lot more than 6, but that's besides the point. Covering all the members of the Sinister Six would probably require a long video. I might make a follow-up video at some point, but I thought we had to cover our friend the Hobgoblin. In this Universe Online, we can make a pretty darn good version of Hobgoblin. We do have a few options. This is the first one we'll take a look at. And it's pretty darn close to the character. The sad part is the ears. I wish we could have the headpiece without ears. Very often in the comics, the Hobgoblin would be portrayed with his face in darkness and shadows. And this hood is perfect to be able to recreate that. If they didn't have the ears, it would be a perfect Hobgoblin headpiece. So for the headpiece, I went with the Dark God headpiece. The back is quite simply the short cape. I guess you could go with the tattered cape at some point. You pretty much had the tattered cape, but the tattered cape is a little too long, I think. So I stuck with the short cape. With the chest piece, I went with the Deathstroke chest piece. It's not exactly it, but it's pretty much as close as we can get.
I got a toilet in my house.
And I'll show you an alternative in just a minute. For the belt, the clasp of the belt is simply quite perfect. For the pants, the New Genesis pants, it would be better if the pants could also have the chainmail motif that the arms have, but what can you do? And the boots are the clean cuffed boots. And the Swarming Bat accessory did seem to be appropriate, although sadly it's an accessory you can get from the Halloween seasonal, and we just passed the Halloween seasonal, so you're gonna have to wait until next year in order to be able to get it. Although there's a Batman family pack that gives you also the aura, but it's like 50 bucks. Pretty sure no one is going to spend 50 bucks just for the Swarming Bat aura. For the headpiece, you might decide to just go with the hood. So if you go for the hood, for the face, you might need the League of Assassin masks. For the chest piece and the pants, another good option would be the Son of Belial. You might as well go for the Tatered Cape. Or the Conqueror Cape. I guess the Conqueror Cape could be a better option. So it gives us a slightly more sinister version of our friend the Hobgoblin, if you go into that direction. And I guess there's one more thing you need to recreate your friend the Hobgoblin. Well, I'm gonna have to switch character. To create the Hobgoblin, you will need one more thing. You will need to use skimming. Yeah, it's not the same as if it was using a Goblin Glider, but within the context of this Universe Online, this is as close to having a Goblin Glider as we can. And here I'm also using the orange smokescreen trail. It seemed appropriate in this case. So we don't have a glider in DC Universe Online, but skimming is the closest option we have at this point. And if we're gonna go, why not go all the way? Let's show also the evil Green Goblin. It's pretty much all the same styles as the Hobgoblin with a few slight variations. For that piece, I went with the Forerunner Swiftsuit Tam. And I guess it could also be used to recreate the Green Goblin from the Spider-Man movie, but here I tried to go more for the classic version of the character. For the face style, the comedy's face style gives us the nice creepy smile that we need for an evil Green Goblin. And for the belt, I went with the Joker's punchline, and for the boots, I went quite simply with the nuclear boots. And in order to get additional bats, like I have the Swarming Bat Aura, but also the Speed Metal back piece can be used to add even more flying bats around our evil Green Goblin. And I guess there's one more thing I could add, the Laughing accessory. Oh yeah, now we're cooking with gas. Although you could still decide to go with the Son of Belial for our evil Green Goblin if you wanted to. So once more for our evil Green Goblin, skimming is required. And here I went with the green smoke screen movement style. It's not exactly it, but within the context of this Universe Online, it's pretty darn close. So if you've been meaning to create the evil Hobgoblin or Green Goblin, there's quite a few options in order to be able to do that. But ideally, you will want to use skimming if you recreate either of those characters. And as an added bonus, let's add our friend, the Amazing Spider-Man. At character creation, you can create a pretty darn good version of our friend Spider-Man. And later on, you can add the Avatar of Peace face style and the Beetle emblem to make an even better version of our friend Spider-Man. So for the headpiece, the full slimline, streak slimline for the chest piece, and tertiary slimline for the pants. For the emblem, the Beetle emblem is a good choice. And for the face style, the Avatar of Peace. And if you use acrobatic with your Spider-Man friend, you can create a pretty darn good version of Spider-Man. So you can have everything that a wall crawler needs in this Universe Online. So this pretty much covers the Sinister Six for now. There's quite a few other members I could have covered, but that would have meant a much longer video. I'll try to make a follow-up video. Let me know in the comment section down below if you want a follow-up video, and maybe suggest some of the Sinister Six members that I did not cover today that you would like to see.
I've been here how long? You haven't even offered me a drink? Sheesh, what a host. I'm going back to the bug cave.